I call to order the Wickliffe City Council meeting of November 11, 2019. Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo.
Present.
Bogo.
Present.
Jaworski.
Here.
Kowski. Here. Levon.
Here.
Stackis.
Here.
Saludo.
Excuse. Approval of council minutes. Councilman Sakis.
I would like to make a motion to amend the minutes under the mayor's report. On the last paragraph, it states Colby and it should state Ginger.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Sakis, by Councilman Dilo to amend the minutes to include Gindra and cross out Kobe under the mayor's report. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo.
Yes.
Bogo.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Stackis.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the council minutes of September 23rd
Second.
as amended. First, I'm going to retract my motion first. Can you retract your second, Mr. Bogo?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to allow Councilman Jaworski to be excused from reading on the minutes of September 23rd.
Second.
Motion by Council President Levon, second by Councilman Dilo to allow Councilman Jaworski to abstain from the voting on the council minutes. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo.
Yes.
Bogo.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Stackis.
Yes.
Saludo.
I'll make a motion to approve the council minutes of September 23rd, 2019 as amended.
Second.
Motion by Council President Levon, second by Councilman Bogo to approve the council meeting minutes of September 23rd, 2019 as amended. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo.
Yes.
Bogo.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Abstain.
Kowski. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Stackis.
Yes.
Reports and communications from the Mayor, Safety Director.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President. Thank you. I've started gathering some data regarding our increased gas tax revenue and how we can leverage that for larger road projects such as Lakeland Boulevard and Euclid Avenue. I did forward some information on the council. I received from PNC Bank just some general information if we were to borrow. There were two different scenarios. One was about $5 million, one was about $7 million, based on two different payment scenarios. The exact details would have to be decided by a bond council for the length of the project based on the life of the project. But with that, I would like to add that in the committee, schedule a conversation fairly quickly just to discuss the viability of leveraging that gas tax to repay the first off Lakeland Boulevard and then Euclid Avenue. There was a ribbon cutting for not a new business, but a business that was expanding in the city, Rad Air Chamber ribbon cutting this past Friday. A lot of council was there as well. Thank you for showing up. Definitely just keep doing that, keep showing up, keep showing our support for our small businesses. I wanted to thank the folks on the school bond committee. I think there might be a few folks here in the audience, but it was just real nice to see so many different people from the community. I know even though it passed by a narrow margin, there was a lot of folks from, they have kids in the schools, they're empty nesters, senior citizens, business owners. A lot of business owners had information out for the public, hosted events for Q&As. So it was a real good community effort, and I look forward to work going forward to work with the school board, rezoning and developing that land on Euclid Avenue. Besides that, I'm going to start looking into fleet management for all of our vehicles for the next few weeks, and I'll update council once I have more details regarding that. That's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the Mayor, Safety Director? We will add gas tax to the Finance Committee. Reports and communications from the Director of Law.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Today I received a complaint. City of Wickliffe Service Department's been named as defendant in a lawsuit. So looks like the plaintiff is Cleveland Electric Illuminating Company, and the primary defendant is Ohio Bell Telephone Company. They apparently have some arrangement between them, a contractual relationship where Ohio Bell uses First Energy's or their lines to hang their telephone poles. And over the course of several years, several low-hanging telephone lines have been damaged, have caused damage to the pole. So not only are they suing Ohio Bell for breach of contract, but every single party that had anything to do with it ran into one of these low-hanging lines. They've named them as defendant too. So I believe this was probably service department hit a line at some point, and now they've named everybody as a negligent defendant in the lawsuit. So it's nothing to be concerned about. I don't think. I will file an answer on it. We have to at least file an answer on it, or else we admit admit judgment against us, but I just wanted to make council aware of it. That's all I have.
Any questions of Councilor Lauderecker? Communications from the council president. I have 2 liquor permits that came in. If the council persons have any objections to them, they can let the council clerk know. That's all I have. Any amendments or additions to the agenda? I'd like to add new business A, rebranding sign. Councilman Jaworski.
I would like to add new business B, zoning changes. And then, under old business A, ordinance 2019-22.
Any other additions or amendments to the agenda? Now, move on to administrators. Police Chief Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of pieces of information I'd like to be aware of. In addition to my monthly report, the drug problem continues on. But a 31-year-old male died from an overdose of heroin. He lived on Regent. That was on October 25th. As recently as this past Friday, he had to use Narcan to bring somebody back. We arrested a male at Gates for a sexual act while he was following female patrons around the store. We had a heroin arrest up at the Fair Bridge, I think it was October 27th. We had to fight with the person, and or Detective Warren actually broke his foot, so he's off on injury leave right now. That suspect, when he got transported out to the sheriff's department, feigned an illness, and he ended up getting transported over to eventually the Tri-Point. When he got to Tri-Point, he broke free from the deputy, went out and carjacked somebody in the parking lot. The deputy chased him, followed him some more. He broke free again, chased after an older lady out of the car, pulled her out of the car. 2 Good Samaritans assisted the deputy, pulled his taser out to try to taser the guy. He dropped it. The suspect got a hold of the taser, actually shot the 2 Good Samaritans. Eventually he ended up getting subdued, but it broke the deputy's thumb and tore some ligament that's in his hand, broke his nose. Just an example of the type of people that we're dealing with. We did have a high-speed pursuit on Saturday of a stolen car. Started out at Speedway gas station, ended up in the city of Wickliffe in an accident. I sent everybody a couple weeks ago the fail-safe phone system proposal. Everybody remember that? So I was able to keep the funding for that out of existing funds out of computer security. So Lieutenant Thompson will be delivering the parts for that probably this week. And then, as I've been preaching for the last couple of years about drug activity, we need more people in the Detective Bureau. So I've assigned Sergeant McCaffrey to work in the Detective Bureau that was effective today. So on October 24th, I have a commendation letter here from Sergeant McCaffrey for the guys on his shift for the activities or their actions on October 24th. It's kind of a lengthy document. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll just kind of summarize it. State Highway Patrol was chasing somebody. Chased him into Wickliffe. He turned around on the freeway, started going westbound and eastbound lanes, hit a car head on. Our folks got there. Both people were trapped inside the car. One car was engulfed in flames. So Patrolman Bregman, Kusi, Fitch, Merrifield, and Technic were all involved in this. So Regner, Kusi, and Merrifield used pry tools to try to get the door open. They were not able to, so they ended up breaking the window out to get him out. From Regner gave rescue breathing. Merrifield gave chest compressions, and an officer from music when they unfortunately, he didn't survive. The woman that was in the other car, she didn't survive either. But I'd just like to read just one short paragraph that kind of summarizes their activities. The actions of these officers who responded to an accident scene in another city's jurisdiction and without prompting attempted life-saving efforts in the hazardous and chaotic scene exemplifies our core values. Though the attempts to save the lives of the tragedy were ultimately unsuccessful, does not diminish the pride in which I notify you of these officers' great efforts to safeguard the lives of two people whom they had never met and the willingness to put their own lives in harm's way. All these officers' activities were captured by our body cameras. I can tell you I had the opportunity to view this body camera footage, and it's an eye-opener. So, combination of those fellows. The last thing I have, a little more mundane. In the month of October, we've had 11 complaints of raccoons that are sick, which is highly unusual. We didn't shoot all of them, but we shot most of them. But they're in this area right here. 90 in Euclid, 28500 Euclid, 2 on Nutwood, Hazel, 4 on Bishop, 1 on Anderson, 1 East 300. The reason I mention that is that we should be very cautious if you see an animal that looks like it's sick, and if it's not behaving abnormally, do not approach it. Call us and we'll take care of it. All that I would have this evening.
Any questions of the police chief? Councilwoman Kowski.
I was wondering if anyone knows the last time that they did the rabies drop for the,
It's been a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, I can actually call the county and see if they're going to schedule it. I think it's been a couple of years.
Any other questions or comments for the police chief? Councilman Jaworski.
Chief, I guess just kind of following up on that line of questioning. So we have a number of sick raccoons. Does the county come in and they look to do rabies testing on them to see if they have rabies, or, I mean, how does that?
No, they don't. We have done that in the past. We usually are the ones that initiate it. I'm not sure exactly how many of these we killed, how many of them. Sometimes we're looking at playing the zip and it scurries off. Or it might be a location where this is possible for us to shoot. I think just look into that though, if there is some problem around with the county.
Any other questions or comments for the police chief? Thank you, Chief West. Fire Chief Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Things are going very well. We're having quite an increase in calls this year over last year. But other than that, things are going well. We're working on a couple grants and just looking forward to getting into the next year here. That's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the fire chief? Thank you, Chief Powers. Finance Director Goals.
Thank you. The only thing I have in addition to my monthly report is just a reminder that it's open enrollment, and I put packets in each of your boxes. Those do need to be dealt with. I need the back page filled out and returned to me. It looks like this. And then go on Ben Express and make whatever elections or coverage, whichever. But that open enrollment is until next Monday. So if you can do that by then, I greatly appreciate it.
Just a quick question. If we opt out, like most of us have, is that just carry over, or do you have to fill it out every single year?
Every year. It has to be elected.
Any questions or comments for the Finance Director? Councilman Jaworski.
Hey, can you talk about the financial report for this month, where we're standing, and anything of note that might be of a concern?
The only concern that I have, which we'll address next month, is the sewer fund. Right now, our income tax is about 88% of what, at the end of October, our income tax, we've collected 88% of what we budgeted. We should be around 83%, 83.5%, so we're doing all right. So.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments for the Finance Director? Meeting is closed. Engineer Formica.
Thank you, Council President. One thing to add to my written report, we'll be opening bids on Friday, this coming Friday, for the Ridge Road extension. Got quite a few small contractors that took out plans for that, so we're anticipating some good bids. So that's my report.
Any questions or comments for the city engineer? Thank you, Mr. Krieger. Service Director D'Ambrosio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've mentioned over the last couple of council meetings about the pump station, repairs have been completed. The bypass went well, everybody seemed to cooperate. We had the bypass for about 3 days. Check valves were installed and everything seems to be running properly. The Green Ridge project is moving along. I believe they might have finished a lot of the curb today. They're just doing the curb between the aprons, some of the aprons are being replaced. I did speak to the contractor today. Make sure there's no steel plates in the road. If there are, they're going to mark everything due to the snowfall that is anticipated. He is going to contact me probably around 5:30 tomorrow morning, and he's probably going to plow that road if it needs to be plowed. He knows where everything's at as far as make sure nothing gets hit. The Ridge Road Sewer Project, as far as the lining goes, I spoke to United Survey on Thursday. It's not on the schedule yet, but they assume it's going to be probably within the next few weeks to get that taken care of. Most of our concentration has been on leaves. We've been picking up leaves. We've been around the city a few times. We've had 3 crews out. One thing I'd like to say about this snow that's anticipated for tonight, we have 6 big trucks. We have 3 trucks ready to go with salt spreaders on them and plows. The other 2 have leaf boxes still on them, and then we're waiting for parts on another one. If it does snow significantly, just please drive safe. We're going to be out there plowing, but we may not have the ability to throw a lot of salt because we only have so many trucks ready. November can be a month where you get the Indian summer and it's great, or it can sneak up on you and really do some damage. Looks like we might get a little bit of both because they're calling for some 50-degree weather within the next week or so. So other than that, that concludes my report.
Any questions or comments for the service director? Councilman Jaworski.
Joe, when you talk about the Green Ridge project, is it safe to say that at this point in the year with the asphalt plants closed and everything, that they're not going to get any pavement down on that road?
We're gonna, yeah, they're optimistic. We're optimistic. Looking at the weather, the asphalt plants haven't closed yet. The weather gets to be in the 40s and 50s. I think it's going to be real. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Good to know.
Any further questions or comments for the service director? Thank you, Mr. D'Ambrosio. Building Commissioner Sack.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. The only thing I have to add is those 2 new starts that I told you, one on Lloyd Road and one on Ridge, they did get their foundations in, so just a nick of time. So yeah, that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the Building Commissioner? Thank you, Mr. Sack. Recreation Director Stock.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I don't have anything to add to my written report at this point.
Any questions or comments for the Recreation Director? Thank you, Mr. Stock. Economic Development Director Drake.
Thank you, Mr. President. I emailed a formal report tonight, and I am happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions or comments for the Economic Development Director? Thank you, Mr. Drake. I'll now open the floor for audience participation. If anyone would like to address Wickliffe City Council, please stand, state your name and address for the clerk's record. Each person will have a 5-minute maximum amount of time. Would anyone like to address Wickliffe City Council? Would anyone like to address Wickliffe City Council? If not, I'll mark audience participation closed. Committee reports. The Committee of the Whole met on November 4th at 7 p.m. Purpose, rebranding sign, road vacation, Rockefeller, North of Clayton. Present, Biello, Bogo, Koski, Laban, Sakas, Excused, Jaworski. Also present, Mayor Barbish, Engineer Formica, Finance Director Doles, Economic Development Director Drake, and Building Commissioner Sack. Glenda Terrell, a member of Wickliffe, represented the results from the branding study she conducted over the past few months. The study included 22 interviews of residents of varying ages and family demographics. She relayed why residents choose to live in Wickliffe and what values the city holds. Mayor Barbish reiterated that everyone on the council was invited to be part of the branding study, but only 3 people accepted. Linda presented the sign that she chose based on the results of the study. Councilwoman Koski and Soloto both opposed the sign. They think it isn't simple enough. Multiple members of the committee stated that they would like the W in Wickliffe to be capitalized or at least a little larger than the other letters. They also asked to make the L more legible. Councilwoman Koski sketched a sign that she would like to be considered as an option. This item is reported out to committee. Engineer Kamika presented a map showing the area of Rockefeller that the mayor is proposing we vacate if the building owners would request it. Easements would need to be addressed for electrical, gas, water, and sewer lines. Each owner would own half of the road. It could expand if needed. Engineer Kamika stated that the law director would like each property owner to appear before council and explain if they would request it. This item will remain in committee until a meeting with all parties involved can be scheduled. Meeting adjourned at 7:29, respectfully submitted. The Finance Committee met on November 4th at 7:50 p.m. Purpose, tax incremental financing and local income tax structure. Present, Galileo, Bodo, Kasi, Lavon, Sakis, Soloto. Excused, Jaworski. Also present, Mayor Barbish, Engineer Kamika, Finance Director Goals, Economic Development Director Drake, and Building Commissioner Sack. Economic Development Director Drake explained to the committee that the developer who currently owns the former Ponderosa property found gas tanks underground and the soil surrounding is contaminated. She explained that this could be in limbo for years if the problem isn't alleviated. There is an incentive that could give back to the city to help the project come to fruition. Tax incremental financing is an incentive program where the full amount of property tax is collected, and she recommends we enter an agreement for 10 years that 75% of the improved property tax value of the project. The funds collected would go into a special fund. The special fund would be used for infrastructure improvements for the project site and areas surrounding that support the project site. The developer is requesting assistance for the demolition of the car wash and infrastructure costs to help offset the expenses he will incur to remove the 2 tanks and contaminated soil. Without the TIF from the city, the developer would not be able to move forward with the project. The committee recommends to council that allow the Economic Development Director to work with the mayor and law director to create a TIF with the developer. This item is reported out of committee. Ms. Drake told the committee that the state of Ohio's law has been changed and local income tax rebate programs are no longer required to follow their structure. Currently, Wickliffe has a minimum number of jobs created. She is requesting that we restructure slightly from how it's currently listed on the website to indicate that council may review a request on a case-by-case basis, removing the stipulation to have a minimum number of jobs required to be created. The committee had no objection and recommends that she modify the wording on the website. This item is reported on committee. Meeting adjourned at 8:08, respectfully submitted. Commission reports. Now, old business A, ordinance 2019-22. Councilman Jaworski.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I would ask that we put this ordinance back in committee. This was the ordinance where we looked at a charter change specifically for the building commissioner in terms of the civil service status of that position. Obviously, it would not affect the current building commissioner right now, so he would be grandfathered in, but for anyone else that would ever come into that role, the courts back a number of years ago started to determine our charter for us, and I think that realistically we should have everything outlined specifically who is and who is not covered by civil service within the administration, just to clear things up. And this was a vote where we had one member of council missing, and I think it would behoove us just to put it back in committee just to discuss this again and see if it would be worth bringing to a vote at some point in time in the future.
Okay, we'll put ordinance 2019- put an ordinance 2019-22 into committee of the whole. Move on, new business A, rebranding signs. So I know that at our last committee meeting, there was still some discussion on what sign we wanted to go with. I know that we need to get this sign, if we're going to use the grant, we're going to need to pass this sign or pass an ordinance on the sign at the next council meeting. So we need to do done with the emergency, so we need these 5 votes. I don't know if we have, even with, I just want to make sure that they're all on board. I would prefer not to go into next meeting, not knowing if we're gonna have 5 votes one way or the other, or if it gets voted down again, we're just gonna lose the grant. That may be the option we have, we go with, or we can choose one of the signs that's presented that our client and the engineer from Mika and Glenda have presented to us, the options. So open the floor for discussion of what signs people prefer, what they want to do, and if we can agree on that, then we'll make a motion to have the law director create an ordinance to make the purchase of this street branding sign. Councilman Sakis.
Yeah, so before we open the floor, I mean, we do employ or pay for an economic developer. I think that she should maybe weigh in on her feelings on the sign. This was something I would think she should have an opinion on one way or another.
So you're looking for her recommendation?
Yeah, just like, it'd be nice to hear your thoughts. Which one would you think best portrays our city?
I'm opening up a keypad.
You can look at this.
Yeah, I'm looking through. I actually liked,
And so these would say,
We have to ask for the branding name.
yeah, the name
Slogan.
of simple, or a small city, big life, it would be.
We have to ask that that's included in there.
no, you're gonna have that included on it.
Well, that's if, I think certain members of council would like that to be included on the sign.
I agree. I like one, looking through, 1B, I'm not fond of the all caps. Yeah, I like the simplicity of it, and I like the, oh, sorry, of 1B.
So you,
Are those, and I also, is one of them taken what Sherry drew up last time? Which one was?
I believe that's 1B.
Oh, okay.
Right, Sharon?
Yeah. Sort of combination of.
Yeah, but that's the one I like the simplicity of it, and, adding in on, other than the I's not dotted, I don't know if it can be or not, but, I like the simplicity of it, and I like that, having like, the small town, big life at the bottom, like how Sherry had drawn it, and whimsically.
And it's such a hard one to see it, kind of gives the idea. Okay. Thanks, yeah, I just wanted you to weigh in, you know, you
Okay. Thanks.
are important as far as the aesthetics and things getting done, so.
Councilwoman McCoskey.
So I had spoken with Matt over the past week, and he had expressed some concern about having everything like a brand, so you have everything, it has the same types, the same logo, so I had asked Pete to try to do that with like 2A. I don't know the exact type, but he had sent them that type, and that has a deeper base that would have the ability to put the tagline on there.
You don't think, yeah, but it's, you know, the W, it doesn't matter.
It's all that. I don't mind typing a
All the
1B
same.
without the upper and lower case, or I'd say 1B or 2A.
I'm 1B or 3, so do we just kind of go through who wants
I'd like to make this decision tonight so that we can definitely have it on ordinance made for next Monday. You said 1B or
1B
3B.
or 3, but if you don't want to be
Three, what?
A. Or, I'm sorry, 3B.
There's two threes on here.
Oh, the second 3.
Legit. 3B.
Yes. The bottom three?
Yes.
The bottom three?
Yeah.
That one's fine too, then.
And 1B.
I'm fine with either.
Anybody else want to weigh in on this? Councilman Jaworski.
I just feel that this is all backwards. I mean, we're talking about a sign before we have a style guide, before, I mean, it's putting the cart before the horse. And I just, this whole process was done backwards. This all should be based off the redesigned look on the city website that had everything be unified. But since we're doing it backwards, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not happy with how this is playing out. If it was up to me, I would probably say 2B would be my choice.
Mayor.
The only thing I'm gonna add at this point is that I made it very clear that once we have the branding and the logo done, the sign was obviously time sensitive, that was gonna work into the website and everything else. Being that no one can make a decision, we might as well just table this and keep the same sign we've had for the past 200 years. We need to get one thing agreed on so we can move forward with the business cards, the email signatures. We're not gonna do any of that until we have the logo we're gonna use. That was just what Ron was supposed to get the logo and get that. Sign was time sensitive. I stated several times that was gonna be working with the website and everything else.
And I do want to say, yes, a new sign is definitely better than what we have now. That sign's old and outdated. I mean, yes, I do feel it is 2019 and we should definitely have a new look or a newer sign.
I talked to Maria via email today, and she is in favor of either sign 2 or 3 would be fine as long as we could add that tagline at the bottom, small town, big life. So I think 3B, I mean, if anybody else had a specific objection to it.
I'll go 3B.
Then, in case of time, anything on that? Okay. Then I'll make a motion to authorize the law director to create legislation for the purchase of a rebranding sign, option 3B, including the sign logo, small town, big life, with a cost not to exceed $50,000. Moved by Council President Levon, seconded by Councilman Jaworski to authorize law director to draw up legislation, create legislation to purchase option 3B with the tagline, small town, big life, at $50,000. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
D'Angelo.
Yes.
Bogo.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski. Levon.
Yes.
Second.
Yes.
New business B, zoning changes. Councilman Jaworski.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I would like to read a letter sent by the chairman of the Planning Commission, Mr. Pat McGraw, from our meeting last Thursday night. This correspondence summarizes the recommendation made at the Wickliffe Planning Commission's regularly scheduled meeting held on November 7, 2019. Specifically, item number 3 on the meeting agenda pertaining to review of the City of Wickliffe zoning map. The Commission reviewed and discussed the current city zoning map entitled Proposed Zoning by Ordinance number 2003-34. This current zoning map has been reviewed by the city engineer and other city administrators, and it has been determined that there are discrepancies in the current zoning map and each one of these were explained and discussed. Our review resulted in a motion made by the Wickliffe Planning Commission that passed and recommended administrative correction of certain zoning map discrepancies and additional action by Wickliffe City Council. I have included the language contained in the Wickliffe Planning Commission motion for your report out to Wickliffe City Council. Quote, to recommend administratively changing the residential items on the zoning map that were not intended to be changed in 2003 as listed on the attached exhibit, items 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11A, 11B, 12, 13, 14, and 15, and to recommend that the remaining items listed on the attached exhibit, items 2, 3, 8A, 8B, 9, and 16, be reviewed by council to put to vote. And as a note, that excerpt taken from a draft version of the committee meeting minutes from Thursday the 7th, and that is from Patrick McGraw, the Planning Commission Chairman. What I would ask, Mr. Council President, is that we put these zoning changes into committee to discuss as council and to hopefully be able to act on them, and if possible, get them up get them up so we can have them voted on prior to, or get them on the ballot prior to the December 17th deadline, so they can be on the March 17th primary.
We will add zoning changes to the committee of the whole. Anything else? Okay, then we'll move on to ordinances.
Ordinance number 2019-52, an ordinance providing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio for the period beginning January 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020. Second reading. Ordinance number 2019-53, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio to enter into a participation agreement with the Lake County Board of Commissioners for the provision of a comprehensive health care plan for certain employees of the city and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Zach, second by Councilman Bigelow, suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2019-53 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo.
Yes.
Bogo.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Sadis.
Yes.
Adoption.
Moved by Councilwoman Kowski, second by Councilman Sakis to adopt ordinance 2019-53 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo.
Yes.
Bogo.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Sadis.
Yes.
Seeing no resolutions, move on to other legislation.
There's one more.
On the back page.
I'm sorry, go ahead, read it. I apologize.
Ordinance number 2019-54, an ordinance amending Chapter 921, Trees and Weeds of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, by repealing Chapter 921.07, Trees Damaging Adjoining Property Removal, first reading.
Seeing no resolutions, move on to other legislation. Miscellaneous. I'm going to add a committee meeting, have a finance committee meeting at 7 p.m. on November 18th to discuss gas tax, followed by a committee of the whole meeting to discuss zoning changes and ordinance 2019-22. Anyone else on miscellaneous? Now move on to adjournment.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Sakis, second by Councilman Bigelow to adjourn the meeting. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo.
Yes.
Bogo.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski. Levon.
Yes.
Sadis.
Yes.